That's why it's really important to have a plan and understand what your goals are.
In fact, my camel out there is suffering right now with a broken back.
So I actually found Pepe when it was only a couple of hours old, and I'm like, oh, this is a funny meme.
Oh my god.
Yo! Who is this degen?
The old man is swing trading over years at a time. And it's like, that's where the real money is made.
The answer is a permanent loss. With single-sided staking, you don't have to worry about impermanent loss.
Really, at the end of the day, it's just the matter of a macro market. It's just what happens.
If you're aware, if you're disciplined, you can hone that into further financial growth.
Financial free. I have to be constantly living paycheck to paycheck. I mean, that's the ultimate goal, more or less, right?
You know what I realized before we went live, broski, is we didn't decide who's going to be hosting for tonight's show. So here we are. The show has started. Welcome everybody to the stream. My name's Will. I'm going to be producing tonight, and I'm joined by Brendan, and we're two fantastic degens at the Degen Roundtable, and we like to talk to you guys about cryptocurrency and self betterment and stuff. Brendan, you've got some cool plans for some things you want to talk about tonight, but this is our normal Whiskey Wednesday. This is a more relaxed show. This is where we kind of hang out, shoot the shit, keep it a little bit informal and everything. But broski, how you doing? Welcome to the show, Mr. Brendan.
I am good, my friend. I am good, and welcome everybody else to the Degen Roundtable, your go-to show for the wild world of cryptocurrency and economic markets. Join Will and I as we dive into the latest news. Today, we're going to be talking about a little bit of the ETH strategic reserve, which I think we have been covering, Will and I have been covering since the beginning. Some big news there. Also, big news from Richard Hart this week in a very interesting tweet that he put out. So we'll be going through that. Then if we have time, and depending on how many people are watching, we may go in and show you all how to claim your midnight glacier drop. And if I don't get it to it tonight, then I'll probably make a separate video just talking about that, because I think it would be really good as a standalone video, but we can always clip it. So we'll see what happens. And a couple other things that we will get into as well. Mr. Will Stevenson, how are you doing, buddy?
Oh, I'm doing pretty good, man. I forget. Nobody hardly ever asks me that question because I'm always asking other people how they're doing. I'm doing just great. I spent all of today hanging out with my good buddy Marco. We just wished his cousin a fond farewell back to the great land of Italy from whence he hails. And so we did it. We've been doing a lot of hanging out and showing this young Italian man how America is, and teaching him how to shoot guns and going out and getting barbecue and doing all sorts of other cool stuff. So it's been a fun last couple weeks, or a fun last couple days, I should say. He's been here for a few weeks, but I've been doing great, man. Just hanging out. Moving around a lot of sticks, doing a lot of yard work, and also doing some shop work and maintenance and organizing and other fun stuff. But it's really cool. I get to work with my friends and do useful things around the shop and just hang out, man. So that's what I've been up to. It's been great. Been doing awesome. What about?
Great,
oh, and I just asked you. So yeah.
What are you drinking? Drinking anything good?
I'm not drinking anything alcoholic. I actually don't have any booze with me. Shame on me for alcohol-free Whiskey Wednesday, but I do have some Cocoa Koala, so I'll be sipping on this from my Fuck the SEC mug. I can't remember where I got this from. I want to say I got this from it's one of those Twitter hexicans that has a pulse chain store somewhere. But I got this a long time ago. I got one for me and I got one for my brother Sam, and so we've just been enjoying them. And then the SEC finally lost to Richard in court, and they got found to not have jurisdiction, and also there was a shit ton of problems with their case that they brought up. So it was all a moot point, but the point is they're not here anymore, and we're still here, and the code's still working, and things are going great in Pulse Chain. So that's what's up with me, man. Life is good. I like it. How do you want to do the show today? What should we start with? I guess would be a better question.
That is a great question.
We've also got these at some point. that we should do.
Yeah, we can get into those in a minute or two. Let's give it a couple minutes for people to come in here, and then we'll do our little chat shout out. But it's been an interesting week in crypto. It's been a bit of an up and down from the market standpoint. We hear Switzerland getting a new tariffs, India getting some new tariffs, and we see the market take a little bit of a downturn. But Ethereum, people were saying if it went below 3,500, it could be looking at retesting 3,000. But ETH's too strong for that. It got to about 3,400 and then bounced from there, and we are sitting at just under 3,700 now. And Bitcoin likewise bounced decently as well. I think it's around 115,000. So both are well within striking range of their all-time highs. And when you're within striking range of your all-time highs and you're kind of chopping sideways, you are creating a better floor, for the next leg up. So I think that this is very healthy, very positive. And we'll get into sort of the boring stuff tonight, like the job numbers regression and things to that extent. But it is very likely, in my opinion, that we could see a rate cut in September. Jerome's a little late, as I've been saying for a little while now, and the job reports being very heavily downward, negatively fixed, so to speak. Not a great look for the market, but markets have been strong overall. And once you start to cut rates, we could be gearing up for some big moves. So one of the reasons that Ethereum hasn't been falling, right? Once it hit 3,400, it bounced. What is one reason that could be, Mr. Will Stevenson?
That the price would bounce? I mean, bro, the price is a whole bunch of things for a whole bunch of reasons.
It's your simple way, my friend. What happens? Why does the price go up?
Oh, is people buy?
Who do you think we're buying those dips?
Oh, all the believers and all the people that are like, I want the last little bit of the action before it starts going crazy and whatnot. And then we've also got. Are you fishing for a very specific answer here? Because I've drawn a blank, man.
Our friends that have their own ETH strategic reserves buying the dip.
Oh, yes. So Sharplink, the Sharplink dudes, and that we've been covering for you are the one that found them, but like we've been covering them here, you and I, on the Degen Roundtable since they basically started doing it. I want to say we were one of the first people to break that in the streaming and news world. But yeah, dude, Sharplink's buying the fucking dip, man. I think that they spent 54 million on I want to say it was Sunday, or a couple days leading up to Sunday or something like that. They spent 54 million buying more ETH, and I know that there's some other dudes out there. I want to say BitMine holds over 830,000 Ethereum, or even more than that. Those are the latest numbers that I checked. But like, bro, they're buying this shit up like candy. They're getting it while the going's good before the Ethereum bull starts really ripping. So we'll see.
Yeah, it's interesting. I was listening to an interview with Tom Lee from BitMine, and he was saying, and maybe I'll probably show maybe a tweet here shortly, but he was saying that he really does want to own 5% of the total Ethereum supply. And he says, well, if Michael Serwan wants to buy 5% of the Bitcoin supply, why wouldn't we want to own 5% of the Ethereum supply? Okay, fair. Now, currently, MicroStrategy owns about 3.2% of all of the Bitcoin. I don't know if that includes I don't even think that includes what's been lost in shipwrecks, what's been lost in garbage heaps because people threw away thousands of Bitcoin. Doesn't include what's in Satoshi's wallet that likely will never move. You never know. But yeah, so they already own 3.2% of what would be considered the total supply. Now, BitMine is buying Ethereum in percentage on percentage much faster than what Michael Saylor did, right? He's been doing it for over a year now. BitMine's been doing it for 4 months, and they already own almost 1%. So about 0.7% of the supply. I can share my screen here and
Ooh, I could
Yeah.
pull that up for you.
Same.
Unless you're doing it. Yeah, you're. Oh, yeah, you're in the producer chair too. There you go. Very nice.
But bring it up when you can.
It's already up.
Perfect.
Yep, we
So
can see right there.
yeah, so here's what I'm talking about. So SharpLink added 83,000 Bitcoin. They were definitely, and that was announced before yesterday. Yesterday, obviously, was when it hit, but yes, so that happened over the weekend when we started to see things take a downturn, and so some of these big institutional buyers are definitely helping to prop that up. So if you look at Bitmine, they hold 0.7% of the supply. That's a lot of ETH right now, 3.7 billion, 833,000 Ethereum. But if they want to own 5%, that means that they have to that they have to buy more than 6 times, really more than 7 times what they currently own. So just think, if in the next year they're buying 7 times what they currently own, how are we going to have a real bear market this year? Like how are we going to hit highs in Q4 this year if these both Bitmine and SharpLink are planning to aggressively continue to buy into next year? It makes me wonder, again, as I've said a few times, if we're extending the top of our cycle. That doesn't mean we're necessarily going to extend the bottom of the bear market, right? Next winter could still be the bottom of the bear market, even if we increase our top of this cycle. But it is a question. I mean, how would that type of purchasing power, even if plebs like you and me were selling, they'd be buying up everything and then some. So I think it's a plausible scenario that our bear market, outside of some black swan events, so to speak, could be running into next year. And let me just read one more tweet, and I'll read one tweet, and then I'll get your
Sure.
Your
what? And there's a question of like how much Ethereum is there to even buy? Like how much is on the market? How much do they have to go to over-the-counter exchanges? How much can they even get if they want to get 5%? But there's only 1% currently available. Like they're gonna run into some pickles. They're gonna have to go wheeling and dealing. It's gonna be a long time before they're gonna be able to reach that 5% mark. So what do we got here?
Well, our friends at SharpLink have hired Mr. Joseph Shalom. I don't exactly know how to pronounce that, but it reminds me of Shalom, even though there's a C in there.
Shalom, Mr. Joseph.
Shalom with a C. Shalom.
Yeah.
Shalom. So I don't know if you've heard this, but this guy has been with BlackRock for 20 years. So he knows a thing or two about digital assets. So this is his tweet about joining SharpLink. After 20 years at SharpLink and helping to lead its digital asset strategy and beginning a new chapter, I've joined SharpLink Gaming as co-CEO. I believe they only like CEOs named Joe, right? Joe Lubin, Joseph Shalom.
It seems to be the pattern so far.
And here's why. At BlackRock, I helped launch IBIT, world's largest Bitcoin ETP. ETH, world's largest Ethereum ETP. Boodle, which I'm not really as familiar with, world's largest tokenized fund built on Ethereum. Okay, so it's just a stock fund tokenized. We didn't just talk about digital assets. We bridged TradFi and crypto. Now I'm joining SharpLink Gaming, a company led by Ethereum Joseph Lubin, and built on a clear belief that Ethereum is becoming the foundation of global finance. So we continue to see more bullish tweets. Now I'm going to share one more here. Bear with me as I go down. Here it is. Different tab. Share this tab instead. So there's a show, and they interviewed Tommy Lee. I don't really want to name the show because I'm not a big fan of theirs, and they have been very bad to our community. So nonetheless, sell your hex, you bums, and get out of our lives. So if anyone knows what I'm talking about, maybe you know what I'm talking about. Yeah. But this is a good tweet that kind of summarizes a little bit of what Tom Lee was talking about in that interview. So he's saying that he's moving 12 times faster at accumulating 5% of the Ethereum total supply. So 12 times faster than what it's taking Michael Saylor to buy Bitcoin. So he really wants to buy 5%. He's dead serious about it. At this rate, he'd hit 5% of all of Ethereum sometime in 2026. So if they decide and actually can raise the money to get 5% of Ethereum, and SharpLink now gets close to 5% or 5% of all of Ethereum, that means next time two entities could own 10% of the total supply. And they aren't really planning on selling. They're planning on building, staking, getting those rewards, and then continuing to build from there. They have a long-term outlook. So total 5%? That's 6 million ETH. So if two entities, that would be 12 million ETH. $20 billion at current prices. He's buying as fast as he possible to lock in below 10,000 per ETH. He thinks ETH still has a 100x upside, not financial advice. He thinks Ethereum could flip Bitcoin. I don't think so. I don't agree with that. At least not probably in our lifetime. And if he's right on all this, ETH would be worth 40 trillion. That's a lot. Now, what the time frame is, he doesn't talk about that there, right? We don't know what he's talking about for 100x upside. Is that in 1 year, 2 years, 5 years, 50 years? I don't exactly know. But nonetheless, they would be one of the world's most valuable companies if Ethereum were to, if they were to get 5%, and Ethereum would say even 50x, not even that 100x. Could Ethereum 50x in between this cycle and next cycle? I think that's certainly a possibility. That would be a huge win for a lot of us, especially people that have coins attached to Ethereum in the Ethereum blockchain. But so we're now talking about two different people, right? We're talking about SharpLink. We're talking about BitMine. And SharpLink adding BlackRock as a co-CEO, Joseph Chalom, and then Tom Lee. So they're really, I feel like, fighting to get to that 5% number first, right? Because the faster you accumulate, if you think it's going to continue to go up, the better your average per ETH is going to be. So, what do you think about all those things?
Well, there was something you brought up over there when you were talking about the SEC and also that they were, or not about the SEC, but about what they might be doing with the Ethereum when they have it in their treasury. The SEC just recently put out a paper saying where, let me see if it's what the wording is. They released a statement clarifying that certain liquid staking activities are not considered securities, offering clarity for the cryptocurrency and DeFi spaces. Specifically clarifies liquid staking activities where users deposit crypto assets into a protocol and receive a staking receipt token. Doesn't fall under the Securities Act of 1933. So what that means is that now there's a lot more freedom in Ethereum and ETH ETFs for people to go and stake their Ethereum and still not be considered a security. And so these big giant companies who have, billions and billions of dollars of Ethereum, they can now go and earn 4% APY by staking their Ethereum and by validating to secure the network and to validate transactions and things. So that's pretty fun cool. So not only will they have 10% of the total supply, but they'll also be earning yield for their stockholders, which will not necessarily beat inflation, but you gotta remember that this is measured in Ethereum. It's not measured in dollars. So 4% on Ethereum is like, oh, well, if the price of Ethereum is going up, then you've got your 1.04 multiplier on whatever that price increase effect is. So that'd be pretty fucking cool. So that's the only thing that I wanted to mention, is that the SEC has offered some further clarity on the liquid staking stuff. So it's pretty neat. And it definitely frees up a whole lot of these companies to be able to go and do that.
It is. And think about this, right? Like the amount of ETH, if you have hundreds of thousands of ETH in your staking wallet or multiple staking wallets, or 1 million ETH, let's say when they get to 1 million, I mean, the return on investment just in ETH terms is a lot. And then if the price goes up, you're now compounding your earnings, right? And then not only that, but you're buying more ETH with all of those earnings as well. So it's like it's a vicious cycle of compound interest. And I'm here for it. I am here for it. It is an exciting time to be in crypto in the bull market. I think we should do some shout outs with Mr. Will Stevenson before we continue talking about this topic. We haven't done that yet.
Let's do some chat motherfucking shout outs, ladies and germs. Everyone's favorite part of the show, where we talk to you guys that are so bold and so kind to talk to us. Would you like to read them, Mr. Brendan, as I pull them up on the screen here?
Sure.
All right, here we go.
First one we have from Amber Simon. Welcome. I shoot APA League, so that is billiards, 8-ball and 9-ball. Tonight is my Lone Wolf League, playing for Costa Rica. Wow. I'll catch the show tonight when I win. Good luck, Miss Amber Simon, and we look forward to hearing from you. Mr. Slide 180, a real-life friend of my co-host here, Will Stevenson. He says, wow, Owen Wilson. Cheers, brother. A little cheers glass. Cheers, cheers.
Got to free up
We
my mouse
have
hand.
Moon Pill Rational Optics saying, hit that like button. And if you haven't subscribed, also please subscribe. We apologize for getting our promos up late today, but all of us were working very late and we barely made it in time to stream. But we're here to bring you valuable information within the crypto space.
Not only that, Brendan, I also saw that Zenith was making this show too late, and I was already making a Whiskey Wednesday show and everything, and so I made a Whiskey Wednesday, and I'm like, oh shit, Zenith's got one up for today. Shoot, I'm going to change the name and make it for next Wednesday. So we've already got a show made for next Wednesday. We've got a show for next Friday. We've got all sorts of shows locked and loaded, so there we go.
And we have Beyond All. Hello, by pressure DRT. We are by pressure. BlackRock is acting like degen noobs, selling already and buying higher the next day. September will buy wife-changing gains with JP. Brr. Money printer go brr. So Jerome Powell potentially cutting interest rates or being cut altogether, and money printer go brr. I think August and September are going to be good months. I mean, we'll see how that plays out. I think they're going to be very good months. And honestly, I think that even Q4, we could see a little downturn moving into Q4, but end of Q4 going into Q1 of next year, we could see definitely a Santa rally, maybe a little bit of a pullback, and then that last maybe big pump for this bull market in Q1. We'll see how that plays out, but it's certainly a possibility. But we could see huge life-changing gains in the next month or so. If I had wife-changing gains, I still wouldn't change my wife because I got the best wife in the world. I'm one of the lucky ones. Yep,
Brenda's absolutely fantastic. I wanted to say on the subject of Jerome Powell and cutting and things. We were talking, Zenith and I, on the Sunday show about how Ariana Krugler has submitted resignation. She's one of the members of the Federal Reserve Board. And that resignation goes into effect 2 days from now. Are you aware of this, Brendan? Is she of any consequence in the Federal Reserve?
So her name is Adriana Kugler. So you got that right, I believe. And she is one of the people that voted against rate cuts. So she was one of the people that voted against rate cuts. So her leaving. Now, it is interesting. My question is, if she really didn't want rate cuts and they didn't cut rates, what's her point? What's her reason for leaving? Like, was she pressured into keeping rates the same? Because forever in the history of the Fed, they've always showed a unified front. They've always voted the same way, and they really haven't had dissenting votes. This last vote to keep rates the same, they had 2 dissenting votes. So that is for the first time that has happened, and it's very rare. So I'm also wondering, did other people, even though they felt like in their heart that they should dissent, they didn't feel like they could, or they were pressured into it? Like, did she feel that way? I don't know. I'm literally grasping at straws here. I know she's going back to teaching, back to being a professor. And, she decided to, and by the way, you might not know this, but her term was up in like January. So it also could just be that she's like, well, I have a chance to go back to professor now, which starts in September or maybe August. So it's like, okay, you know what? I'm going to cut early. There's a lot of stuff happening at the Fed. I'm not really a fan of it. I'm just going to cut, get out of all the drama, leave 3 months early, and get to be a professor. To be honest, that's probably all it is. But it doesn't hurt to at least think about diving deeper and saying, is there anything else underlying why she wants to leave early? But her term was up, so in a few months. So it's not like it was a big unexpected thing that she was leaving soon.
Gotcha. Okie dokie. So probably a nothing burger, nothing crazy awesome, or no hidden information there. That's sort of kind of the where me and Zenith went with it.
Yeah, no, but I mean, yes, but who they replace her with could be a big thing, because who they replace her with, if that person really thinks that there needs to be rate cuts, now you have at least three prominent voices out of 7 really pushing for rate cuts. And could that turn on somebody else with a negative job market data? I'm telling you, I see a rate cut coming in September. Let's pull up FedWatch. Let's see what FedWatch tells us as far as, and Will, if you want to pull up Polymarket, and we can contrast FedWatch and Polymarket and their current percentages to cut. My guess is they're gonna get pretty likely.
Ooh.
If you have it first, share it, because mine's like spinning.
Yes, let me pull this beautiful.
Oh, damn! It just pulled up,
bro.
I told you. I told you.
Hang on. I'm gonna present over here. So this is we'll show the degenerates over here, but I'm curious to see how much of a difference
the non-degenerates
you've got. Yeah. Let me make this the right size so it shows that beautiful aspect ratio. Oh my goodness, this is wonderful. Okay, bam, and share. This is what Polymarket has. Friggin' 79%. 79% chance that we're doing at least a 25 basis point cut, and then 15% no change, 6% saying 50 point, and then some people for whatever the hell reason are saying that there's going to be a little bit of a hike. But yeah, that's freaking ridiculous, dude. 80% of the people gambling with real life money.
If you put the 79 in the 6%,
oh yeah,
we'll think cuts. That's 85% of the gamblers' money. You're gonna get cuts.
85% of fucking gamblers' money. Yeah, so it's like, look at those numbers. Those are some beautiful numbers. What do you got there?
Go down again there. Go down again there, because do you see that huge jump in? Yeah. What do you think that was due? That was when the job reports had their negative downward readjustment. And people are like, oh shit, maybe they should have cut a few days ago. But honestly, this isn't necessarily terrible, because now the market can expect a rate cut. So if it happens unexpectedly, the market's going to go down. If they expect it to happen and it's status quo, then it's much more likely to be a positive to nothing sign. So let's now share my screen.
All right, I'll go ahead
and I'll
pull
show
mine
you
off here.
Oh no, I don't have an extra camera.
By the way, welcome to Mr. Just Live, and also Mr. Farmer Brown. Good to see you, buddy. Or Farmer J. Oh, so 93.
Even higher number.
Wow.
Probabilities of the September 7th meeting. Now, remember, we're going to get a lot of numbers that come in August and September before this meeting. So we'll essentially get 2 CPI reports, 2 job reports, and that will be a lot of numbers that could sway this one way or another. But right now we're sitting at 93.6% of a rate cut. And let's, out of curiosity, let's see what they think for October. Oh, look at that. They're thinking another rate cut is very plausible in October. So FedWatch is saying 93.5% there's a chance that they cut in September, and 64% chance that they cut again in October. Let's see.
I'm predicting a 400 basis point drop for September.
Wow, look at this. even December, okay, December. So there's 3 meetings left in the year. They're actually expecting more than a 50% chance there'll be 3 cuts. So if we had 3 cuts in September, October, December going into Q1 next year, then man, we are really ramping. Unless the market's looking really bad, we are really going to be ramping up into a beautiful extra top Q1 that we haven't seen in the markets in quite some time. So that is very, very interesting stuff.
Fucking juicy, bro. Money
Now,
printer gonna go burr.
Yeah.
For the folks at home who are this might be their first time learning about the Federal Reserve and how the rate cuts work and everything. It's essentially the Federal Reserve borrows, or it lends money out to the bank, and the federal lending rate, what you see there, 450 points, that means that they lend money to banks at a 4.5% interest rate. So the banks can go and borrow money from the Fed at $4 on the 100, and they have to pay that $4 on the 100 back, for however long they're borrowing the money for. And what happens is the United States borrows trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars from the Fed. And so if our rate goes down enough, then the United States will refinance their loan with the Federal Reserve. Correct me if I'm wrong here, Brendan, but that's my general understanding of how the Fed works and the borrowing and the lending of the money and things. So when the numbers go down, the banks can get better loans from the Fed. And when the banks can get better loans, that means the businesses can get better loans from the banks. And then that just kind of trickles down, and everybody starts borrowing money as fast as possible because they're now getting better lending rate. It's like, same thing when it's possible to get a mortgage at 2.5% interest rather than 8% interest, then it's like, oh shit, I better refinance my house. So that way I'm not paying an extra 6% every single year. And so people go and they borrow money, which basically creates brand new money that never existed before, because that's how money is born, is a daddy Fed and a mommy government love each other very much. And then they go and they fuck the US taxpayer, and then money is born. Right. Is that the general, am I describing this accurately, Brendan? Am I missing anything important in here? You're muted, by the way. I cannot hear you.
That's the general gist of it. The important part really is, like you said, it's cheaper to borrow money, so people are going to borrow more money. And since we have zero fractional banking, it means banks don't need to keep any money. They can loan out everything, and then loan out everything that they've loaned out, then load out on the money that they've loaned out from there, and then borrow more to loan out more. It's just like a never-ending money creation system. And the lower the interest rates, the more that's going to happen. So it actually creates more money from nothing, which is a hilarious thought process. When I was taking econ classes at Harvard, there was a 10% fractional banking. So you had to at least keep 10% of everything that you loaned out. But then, the 90% that you loan out, then you can loan out 90% on that, 90% on the next one. Blah, 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 blah. So, it's like, it's wild that essentially they're just leveraging their loans over and over. So when you get lower, it makes it much easier to do that. It also is going to help the housing market, which has been really struggling. Although prices in the housing market could go up if that happens. So we shall see there. But yeah, I think it would be good overall for the markets. I want to share one more thing in regards to this, because I think this is interesting. We'll as we get closer, if it still looks like we're going to cut rates, if they're going to cut rates, then we'll talk about this in more depth. But it is interesting. The last 5 times pretty much the last 5 times that they cut interest rates. Now, remember, for almost ever, for like 10 plus years, we were running off like literally 0% interest. Like the Fed rate was 0. So it's been a long time since we've seen rate cuts being lowered. Therefore, it's like, how good are numbers from 18 to 50, 40 years ago? Fair question, but nonetheless, I think it's good to look at nonetheless. And, September 7th, this was already underlying issues leading up to the housing market crash in 2008. So this is not surprising that we didn't recover when this started to hit. So same thing, January 1st, 2001. this was interesting because 2001 also had a bad pullback, and we had some black swan events that year. So both of these led into some pretty bad future events. But prior to that, 98, 95, and 89 had very good 12-month returns on their investment. Now, one thing that I'm going to go back and do, and I haven't done it yet because I wasn't planning on showing this, I'm curious where, if we were to like send back the cycles, where these would have fallen within the cycles. Because right now we're kind of heading towards the top of a cycle, potentially.
The top of a traditional stock market cycle, right?
And yes. And so I'm
and
curious.
Those are 12-year cycles?
Curious where these go. Yeah. 10 to 12-year cycles are very common. But within those, there are smaller cycles within those longer cycles.
Mm-hmm.
So
let me see
this
if I can
is
find
interesting to look at.
Stock market cycle. How old is that picture? The gray picture, or the tan picture? Yes. The stock market wave from, I can't remember what book it was, but it has all the different years highlighted of like, this is going to be the top, this is going to be the bottom, and it's remained like moderately accurate for a long time. I can't remember. Shoot, I don't even know how I would just describe that picture.
It essentially says buy here, sell here. It's top of the market. Buy here, really sell here because it's the top of the market. But let's say you have like your mini markets are 5 years, and your larger markets are 10 years as far as cycles go.
It is Benner's. Where's the name of this? Benner's. Benner's 150-year-old. Samuel Benner, humble pig farmer, periods when to make money. Hold on, I'm opening this image up in a new tab. You guys gotta fucking see this, because this shit is absolutely ridiculous. Just how it's like, some random fucking pig dude found these perfect times. I'm sorry, I cut you off while you're speaking. While I'm pulling this up, go ahead and continue your thought.
I really didn't have much more to say. I was just saying that I'd say the smaller part of the market cycle, traditional markets, is 5 years, and I'd say 10 years is probably the longer, like that longer, larger swing cycle.
Yep. So here it is. Look at that. The years of good times, high prices, and the time to sell stocks and values of all kinds. And then the years of hard times, low prices, a good time to buy stocks, corner lots, goods, etc., and hold till the boom reaches years of good times, then unload. Sure thing, save this card and watch it closely. Now, it's not like, pinpoint accurate, but it's pretty fucking close in terms of like...
what's the next year, Will, for all the people that might not have their reading glasses on? What's the next year where we could make a lot of money and want to sell everything?
Let me just kind of pull this up and then do a little bit of a circle around it. Over here, we've got 2026. Well, would you look at that? 2023, bad year. 2026, good year. Last one was 2019. Next one's probably 2032 for the bottom. And like these also sort of kind of follow the Bitcoin cycles. 2017 was the Bitcoin top. 2008 was, when Bitcoin was created, or 2009, sometime around there. So it's like these like Bitcoin's a little bit of a different story, but as far as the stock market goes, it follows this like close enough that you could I think make money gambling on it 80% of the time or something like that. So there you go.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like, obviously, don't take any of this as financial advice, but it is good to understand. And we talk about cycles a lot, right? Especially in crypto, like 4-year cycle is important because of the Bitcoin halving. But I feel like when the Bitcoin cycle also matches up perfectly with the economic cycle, then we're reaching to that like big boom. So I do think end of this year into 2026 could be one of those, ultra big booms, life-changing, wife-changing, tent-changing, shout out Farmer Jay, kind of money that you can make. So let's strap in. I'm excited, and let's see what happens.
All right, sweet. I'm going to go ahead and pull this down and bring us back to our normal size here. So excellent. Before we transition to the next topic, we've been joined by a Julie Kennis. So hello, Julie. Good to have you with us today. And
Cheers.
I believe that is it for the chat shoutouts. We are now caught up to date. Oh, Farmer J, I was told we were in a super duper cycle. So could be, bro. Could be. I don't know.
Super duper cycle.
Yeah. I will definitely reinforce Brendan's iteration of not financial advice. I sure as hell don't really know a whole lot of what I'm talking about. I'm just kind of like looking at things on the internet and speaking as it comes to my mind. So there you guys go.
Ooh, we just had another DGen join the chat, my friend.
Ooh, we did. Well, would you look at that, ladies and germs? We've been joined by Mr. Kenturian54X. Shout out to everyone's favorite pilot, farmer, and dungeon master who says, "What's up, DGens?" What's up to you too, broski? Glad we could have you
Could you also
here.
pull up the comment before that?
Oh, excellent. Miss Julie Kennis. I just subscribed. I am new here. Well, welcome to the DGen Roundtable. We're a bunch of DGens over here. Talk about crypto, talk about self-improvement, and mostly hang out. That's what's up.
Wednesday nights are our low-key kind of fun shows, and Sundays are our flagship shows where we get a little bit deeper into the markets and the charts and the conversations regarding crypto. But we still like to throw it around here. And by the way, if anyone wants to join us on stream tonight, we can throw out that link. I have at least one more quick topic to talk about, which would be fun to chop up with some other DGens because it is about Richard Hart's most recent tweet. So if anybody wants to join that, let us know. And I can also throw it in our Telegram chat.
There we go.
You have not already done that?
I have put it in the YouTube comments. So if you guys are live and you want to hop on with us, then just click on that StreamYard link there. All you need is a camera or, well, a phone, really. Your phone has a camera and a microphone. You don't really need to have your camera on if you don't want to. Just chit chat, hang out, say hi. But yeah, this new tweet that you're wanting to talk about, I have not put a lot of serious thought into it. I glanced over it quickly, but I didn't stop and like chop through it. So our reaction to it is going to be my more or less live and real processing of it. So whenever you are ready, broski, we can go ahead and hop right on into it. All right, sweet. I'm gonna close this tab. Bam. Look at that.
Zoom in here a little bit. Okay.
And I love this first sentence.
The myth of Richard Hart approved. We don't even need to go. I guess we'll go one more sentence. Nearly nothing is. I think this is actually a good place to start, Mr. Will Stevenson, because Richard is always talking about being very careful. And a lot of people are trying to put words in his mouth to try to bring eyes and bring good times to their coins or their platforms or whatever they're trying to build. Because if they can somehow attach Richard's name to it, they know there's a huge booming community behind the scenes that could ape in heavily. And so, he's very worried that people will follow anything that is attached to his name or that people are claimed to attach to his name. I've heard many people talk about some protocols recently that maybe it's Richard Hart, maybe it's someone that is close to Richard Hart behind this project. And it's always better to err on the side of caution and assume that it's not, because most people are just going to try to use his name to scam you and to get you to put your money into something that Richard Hart wouldn't probably tell you to put your money into.
Are we gonna keep continue? Oh no, we lost it. Fiddlesticks.
All right, I'm back.
Okay, there we are.
Should I continue reading, or you have a comment?
Yeah.
First?
Continue reading.
Okay, I explained to you the risks and how you can do things better. Hopefully, you take the advice and it works out for you. So I'm once again going to tell you how to do things better and hope it helps you. Reduce your counterparty risk by spreading your transactions out. All off-chain exchanges and all bridges have counterparty risk. You greatly reduce their risk to you if you just spread whatever you're doing over smaller transactions. So if you want to put $100,000 into the market, maybe you do $10,000 transactions. Or if you want to do $10,000, maybe you do 10 $1,000 or 2 $5,000 transactions. For me personally, I try to keep it into the low 1K figures. As I ramp up, maybe that'll ramp up as well. But I do like to try to do smaller transactions overall, because if you mess something up, if you send something to the wrong address, if you click the wrong button and that money is poof gone, well, at least you have the other 9 that you're going to transfer, and hopefully don't make that same mistake again. So I totally understand that. I think that that's something that was taught to me very early on. Do test transactions, use main bridges. Be careful of bridges, especially ones that haven't been out that long or we don't know much about. So I think that's pretty good tips. Any comments there, Will?
Yeah, I don't want to pretend like I know exactly what he's talking about. There's been a lot of people speculating on which protocols this is referring to specifically. There's some that I have an idea of, but again, like even presuming we know the things that Richard's talking about, we don't know if he's publicly shaming something specifically, or like we can maybe infer that, maybe, there's definitely some things where he has warned us about very directly in the past, and there's a lot of things that he just doesn't even like to talk about the names of. But like this is just good advice, spreading your transactions out over a large period, making a whole bunch of small things rather than one big thing. It'll save you a lot of headache, and that it's not just with bridges and exchanges. This is like when using any sort of protocol. This is when attaching a new wallet to any sort of thing. And he goes on to explain that later on in the text here. So whenever you're ready.
Other tips that work on the same idea: use different types of hard drive to do backups. So instead of using cloud storage, use hard drives, right? So that people can't hack them as easily. Really at all.
One of the things he says all the time is cloud is just someone else's hard drive. So
yes, it's like keeping your stuff on a centralized exchange, right? If that cloud goes down and they decide that they want everything that you own, well, you're kind of probably shit out of luck. So it makes sense. Yep. We backed up all of our wedding pictures on a hard drive, no cloud storage. So those are very important to us. So they're less likely to fail all at the same time. If you use a Virgin wallet to transact and you get hacked on it, you don't instantly get hacked on everything upstream, and it's nearly free to do. So Virgin wallets, i.e. condom wallets, before connecting things is quite affordable insurance. So you connect a wallet with a small amount of coins on it, make sure it's not a honeypot, make sure it doesn't get drained, and then you can connect your main wallet. I mean, that's just phenomenal advice. That's probably something that I could do a little bit better. I do use condom wallets, for meme coins and for things when I'm degenning. But, I don't really always think about using condom wallets as tester wallets, right? Test transactions. So I think that's smart. Next up, for instance, if a bridge is really fast and affordable because it doesn't have a bunch of validators that have to approve a bunch of multi-signature confirmations, it's faster and cheaper, but in theory, it has more counterparty risk because it doesn't require collusion of validators to make problems. So if you're using a faster, cheaper bridge, know that it's more risky, but you can reduce the risk by splitting up your bridging over time. So if something goes wrong, it goes wrong for far less. Works for all kinds of transactions. So this is really the paragraph for people who are reading into it. But, I will say the protocol that a lot of people have been using recently, they do use the main bridge. At least they say they use the main bridge, and they have their own liquidity pools that they allow you to swap for. That's why they have limited tokens that you're able to trade for, because they have their own liquidity pools, and then they wait for the bridge to transact, and then everything is good. But you get your tokens right away because they are sending you them from their own liquidity pools. Any thoughts there, Will?
So, oh man, I had a thought. Oh shoot, let's see. More counterparty risk does require less validators and problems. Da, 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 da. Something goes wrong for far less. All kinds of transactions. That's what I was thinking about. Is I had taken a different thought on this, but I agree with you 110% there, Brendan. The thought that I had on this was that a lot of people, when they're trying to do something really fast, the reason that, like, when you're trying to do something hasty, it's generally like an emergency type feeling. When things are in an emergency type feeling, it's like, oh, I'm desperate. I have to get it now. I can't wait. I gotta like not do something. People are generally more emotional when they're in that sort of state of mind. So this isn't just like a, hey, use best practices kind of advice. This is also like, pull your head out of your ass and don't make as many split second emotional decisions to try and get like a nice quick buy-in super duper fast before the world changes and goes crazy. Like, yes, the world does change and go crazy, but when you start doing big giant power money moves all at once and you're in an emotional state and you're clicking through a whole bunch of super cool looking things and it's like it involves counterparty risk and stuff, that's where a lot of people get drained. That's where a lot of people get hacked. And it's a lot better to get drained and hacked for a small amount of money and spread it out over time than it is to lose everything or to lose massive chunks all at once. So this advice, if I were to zoom out and look at it from like a 30,000 foot perspective, it would be, consider yourself to have a wealth of amount of time and a wealth of amount of patience, and don't necessarily rush into things, and don't put yourself in a compromised position when in a position of scarcity mindset, especially regarding like time. Like, oh, I gotta get this, $100,000 in right now, as opposed to like, oh, I can do 20 $25,000 transactions over a span of 24 hours because I'm taking the time to make sure that I do each little step correctly every single time. And if one of them fails, then it's like I still got 95 grand. I've still got a pretty sizable chunk of money doing things. So this is like, slow down, look at what you got, like, don't lose everything that you have an abundance mindset when it comes to time and availability, and try to avoid taking risky steps with the whole stack, or using potentially risky protocols with your whole fucking stack of cash that could perhaps disappear and go away forever. So that's the viewpoint that I took when I saw this. Any
Yeah,
thought?
and look at Solana, right? It's lightning fast, but look at how many times it's failed or gone down or had issues.
Yeah.
So,
Or
you
just
you
people.
trade stability and security for speed. That's just generally the case. Like, also, if you want to make more money, you generally have to take on more risks. You're trading risk for the opportunity to make more money. There's always two sides to every coin, and with cryptocurrency, it is generally better to err on the side of caution than it is to err on the side of trust. That's just general. In general.
Yes. You and if you're going to take risk, then you have to like do it from a position where you can keep doing it later. If you take so much risk that it cripples you and you can't take more risk anymore ever because you've taken all of the risk, it's like you shouldn't sacrifice all four of your limbs. You should only like maybe put one hand in there, kind of sort of thing. Because like if you lose one hand, it's like you still got your other hand and you got both your feet, kind of deal. It's fine to take risks, and that is how people go from nothing to incredibly wealthy, is by taking risks. But if you put everything on the line and it fails, then it can be debilitating. So take calculated risk. And I can't tell you what the correct amount of risk is for you to take. I take a lot of risk because I'm able to bounce back on my feet because I've had 32 years of life practice figuring out how to live my life in such a way that I can bounce back from high risk losses and things. So my way won't work for everybody. An 82-year-old babushka is not going to be taking the same level of crazy risks that I'm going to. She's going to be taking her own different versions of risk. So that's what I got for your thought there, Brendan. Anything to add?
Well, let's read the rest of this. The last line, which I'm not showing currently, is the one that I am very interested to talk about.
Yes.
Things must be good or bad based on your evaluation of them and how you use them. Never, ever let someone tell you Richard Hart approved, and you dare use their statement to replace your own due diligence. That's what I started this with, right? That's what I said in the beginning. You must reward that which is good by knowing better for work. By knowing better from worse, using your own mind, right? You can't blindly trust Richard because you think he's smarter than you. You trust him. You can't blindly trust me or Will because you're listening to us on the Degen Roundtable.
Correct.
You have to do your own due diligence, and you have to only trust yourself and what you learn. Now, it's okay to go ask people their thoughts and what they think, but you have to put in the time and the effort to do your own due diligence.
I 100% agree. People need to figure their own shit out.
Richard Hart is in cryptocurrency to remove counterparty risk and increase efficiency. We're lucky such awesome computer science breakthroughs and open source software exists. Let's spread the word. I hope you enjoy the free tips. Now, that all seems like pretty generic, good advice. And you can read into it if you think he's talking about a specific protocol, or that people have said that he's behind a specific protocol, so maybe he's not. Nonetheless, it's generally just good advice, right?
I missed what you had just said. I don't know if the sound cut out. It did not look muted on StreamYard, and also I can't see what you had read on the screen. Have you scrolled down?
No, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now just fine. But like the part where you started reading the quote, the sound came back as soon as you start saying, and that's what Richard says, and I think that's it was like it was eerie.
So yeah, I mean, I was just saying overall what we've read so far from this tweet is generally just good advice to try to get you from being wrecked or trust people that you shouldn't trust. So if someone puts their name on something, it doesn't mean that you should trust that protocol, because Will, you and I have invested in sacrifice phases, not Pulse Chain or even on this network, that because we trusted in the people that recommended them, probably we should have done our due diligence a bit more before we did that, eh?
Yes. I have done a total of 2 sacrifices in all of my time in anything Pulse Chain, and one turned out very well, not like financially, just like the people that ran the sacrifice did something super cool and awesome, and the other one did not turn out very well, and it's 100% because the people doing the sacrifice did not do the thing that they were talking about. So in both instances, like it was the people, it was not the protocol, it was not the code itself. It wasn't like some sort of hack or something. It was just people deciding to do cool and awesome thing out of generosity, and also people going back on their word and changing plans and switching around and playing with the money and the pricing of the assets and all sorts of other things. So you're absolutely right about that. I'll go ahead and shout out the cool guys that did the really cool sacrifice, and it's the Pulse OnlyFans dudes. They were really, really freaking funny. I've talked about him a few times before, but I want to shout out Mr. Riz from the Pulse OnlyFans. I don't know if he's changed his name again, but when they first launched their Pulse OnlyFans token, it was like those 404s where you can buy and sell the NFTs on like just as a regular tradable token. You don't have to sell them as like a whole NFT. You could sell like parts and pieces and whatnot. But anyways, the Pulse Chain OnlyFans 404s, it doesn't matter what it is, right? It was a bunch of pictures of like male male streamers wearing thongs and things made by AI. Super funny. But anyways, what they did for their sacrifices, they gave everybody their sacrifice money back, and they sent them tokens. So like if people put in $10 to the sacrifice, then you got your $10 back, and they sent you tokens, which ended up being like super cool and awesome and valuable later, because I don't know how the hell they did it, but they did some really cool branding, and they worked out the sacrifice as well. For the guys that didn't do it well, they took my money and they changed the things that they said that they were going to do. and they literally, like, where they said that these amount of tokens will be these dollars, it's like when they launched it at a totally different price and everything. So they had set expectations, and then they had reneged on those expectations, and they also kept moving the goalpost. They kept moving the goalpost, and they kept changing the timeline. And so, anyways, all of these things has to do with people. It has very little to do with code, and that's the most important thing to remember in cryptocurrency is, like, at the end of the day, you're not only dealing with the code, but you're also dealing very heavily with the people that make the code and the people that make decisions on how the code is implemented and all that other stuff. And code's easy to read. Well, I'm not going to say it's easy to read, but code is, it is definitive, and people are wishy-washy, and sometimes they'll make great decisions and sometimes they'll make bad decisions. So just keep that all in mind.
Okay, so we have one last couple of sentences here, and this is what the community has really been talking about. Well, all of it, to be honest with you. P.S. Random. If you want to have two kids divide a cake evenly amongst themselves, have the first kid cut and the next kid choose. Interesting. Thank you for the here's some people cutting a cake with a sword.
Yep.
Very interesting. Hope that's been
Looks
washed.
like it looks like a military ceremony. I know in the
Yes.
Marine Corps balls, they would do the same thing. They would cut the cake with a NCO saber or a Mameluke sword. So I can confirm that this happened.
Does this sound like anything to you?
So if I had to speculate, what I've noticed other people read into it is they're talking about taking Hex, the idea of Hex, and cutting it into two things. Cutting it into Hex that exists on Pulse Chain and cutting it into Ethereum Hex, or the older Hex, or the Hex that used to be, whatever you want to call it, right? E-Hex.
Equal supplies, right? Perfectly divided.
Equal supplies, perfectly divided. So that happened, and the people can choose which they want to buy, and that's how you get price. That's how the free market decides on what they want. So this could be what he's referring to, or he could just be, having a random stray hair thought, kind of like popping somewhere, and who knows, he just got this idea. But that's like the thing that comes to mind when I think about this. Now, perhaps I'm projecting my own interpretation, because it's like that's the thing that I want to think about when Richard says this. So I have to eat a slice of humble pie and think, like, is that the thing that he's talking about? I don't really know. Should I look into this super far? Is it a campfire story? Should I, like, get in debates and fights with people? Probably shouldn't get in fights with people about it, but it's an interesting thought process, and it's an interesting what do you call it, like wargaming scenario or something along those lines. What are your thoughts on it, Brendan?
I mean, look, he's said multiple times. He's talked about Hex and E-Hex, and he's already said, the community has chosen. And that's interesting in and of itself. But it's also interesting that he said this after the Hex to E-Hex ratio really started to move again. So I don't know if he's trying to get people to, stay in one token or what the case may be. But I do believe he is talking about his two children, Hex and Hex. And look, I think that E-Hex can do well. I definitely do.
Good.
And I think that if the Richard Heart ecosystem does well, then yes, they're all going to do well. So there isn't anything bad to say there. But it's clear that Richard Heart created a protocol to make Hex better, because Ethereum was something that he couldn't control. And every time that they made decisions that negatively affected Hex, it hurt him and it hurt his community. Mostly it hurt his community, but it hurt his protocol. And so by making Pulse Chain, he now has control over the protocol. Granted, it is immutable, but it is more decentralized, in the fact that you can run the code from your own computer. You can do a lot of different things. And I can stop sharing this for now. We can start looking at your pretty face a little bit closer up. And it is interesting. I again, I think both are going to do great, but there is a reason why Hex was created on Pulse Chain. Pulse Chain was created to make Hex better. So Richard Hart is certainly going to put his effort of building and effort of creating on Pulse Chain side, which also can help Hex. A lot of new protocols, Actuator, Communis. There's a lot of protocols that help Hex on the Pulse Chain side. So to me, it makes sense that he may be talking about that. I can't say for sure. I'm just reading between the lines, but he definitely created Hex, Pulse Chain for Hex.
We have a thought here from Dr. H, the crypto practor. The market never chose, the OA chose. Decentralization? Just saying. That's not a bad point.
He did choose by creating a new protocol, so therefore he was already pushing people towards that protocol. So I do not know what I just did. I did hit a hotkey of sorts. But yes, so he did choose to create Pulse Chain, and then he let the market go. It is very clear that if he created Pulse Chain for Hex, then the market's probably going to go in that direction because of following his lead. So it is a good point. At one point, the market, prior to him saying anything, was definitely heavily moving into Pulse Hex on Pulse Chain. EHEX had a good run. It had a good run there for a while, and then recently the Hex charts have been looking a little bit different. So Hex has been running against EHEX pretty significantly here in the last several weeks. But yes, but the man that runs the coins generally has pretty big say. Agree with you there, Mr. What was it? Dr. H, the chiropractor. Like that.
Yep. Dr. H, the crypto practor. He's joined us a few times. He had a show about Monaco a long time ago. Good to see you, Dr. H. He's very, very cool cryptocurrency and chiropractor. He was when we were hosting the F and Hangout one time on behalf of RG3 and Wild SJ, we were playing a game with him where he had the like his streaming camera inside of his doctor's office, and it was past business stuff. He owns his own practice, and we were playing guess what the item is inside of the X-ray, and he would put like different things inside the X-ray machine, take an X-ray of it, and show us like on the screen like what it was, and then the audience got to guess like what's inside the X-ray. So he's a super cool guy, very, very smart and wise Hexkin. I've had some great convos with him. So good to see you, Dr. H. Welcome.
So I just looked it up. It's one hex for 5.75 EHEX. So that has changed quite a bit. I had made a swing trade from EHEX into Hex when it was about 3-1, and then when it got to a little over 4, I swapped back. And I guess I should have just let it ride, but nonetheless, still made good 30% on my swing trade. But I never wanted to swing trade it back because I do think that if we start this market starts to move, Hex on Pulse Chain is going to outperform EHEX because Richard Hart is giving it the love. And so you might say, well, it's unfair that on PulseX, when you go to the main 8 tokens, it only shows Hex. It doesn't even give you an option for EHEX in the quick short list of tokens at the top. Well, look, you might be right there. But it is what it is. People are still buying and selling, and those are the people that are moving the price.
Yep. And I also wanted to say, like, when you talk about giving the love, I think that it's very important that people recognize where origin address money was used to buy tokens off the market. It was used to buy Hex. It was used to buy PulseX, it was used to buy Pulse, and it was used to buy incentive token. It was never used to buy Hex on Hex from Ethereum on Pulse chain. So that was just from my understanding. Again, this is I'm taking other people's on-chain analysis for what they told me, and from what I heard, that when the origin address was buying, it was never buying Hex from Ethereum. So I have no idea. I know which one I like because I mostly use Hex for staking. About 75% of all of my Hex is staked out Quattro Cinco. So it's like I don't really have a whole lot of incentive to do it on Ethereum because of the prices and the S load fee and all of the other stuff. So I don't really do that a whole lot over there or more. So I prefer Hex on Ethereum. I prefer the regular Hex. All of my Hex on Ethereum is Quattro Cinco staked out. I decided to do that a long time ago, and I have very little of it, but that's what we got. We've been joined by a couple people here. Brendan, do you have a thought that you wanted to squeeze out before I shouted out these two gentlemen who would join us? All right. Sweet. So first and foremost, we've been joined by Mr. Hex Glenn. Good to see you, broski. Welcome, Hex Glenn. Love you, bro. Glad that we could have you with us tonight. And also OBX Reaper. The saved money on Ethereum gas fees alone by using Pulse Chain is better served back into the main product Hex, the better Bitcoin. So I don't know if I read that correctly, but
yes. So he's saying that the money that you save on gas fees, you can put that back into the main coin, and it betters everybody, rather than paying it to the Ethereum Foundation or to Uniswap, those scumbags, or to anyone else
or
that hate it on Hex community.
Yeah, there's a lot of problems that happen over on Ethereum, and there's a lot of things that we can't change. We can't change the S-load data reading. So for those of you guys that don't know, S-load data on Ethereum, and I'm speaking out of poorly collected memory and also limited understanding, but the way that S-load data works is when you have a Hex stake, the Ethereum has to go into each and every single day of your Hex stake and go and find the share rate for that particular day. So day 1 all the way to day 5,555, it has to calculate each and every one of those little days. And in order for it to pull that data off of the blockchain, that has something to do with S-load gas calculation. And the calculations for everything else that consume gas on Ethereum, so like you guys would either know it as the gas paid in ETH, but really the gas is paid in GWE, which is 1/100 millionth of an Ethereum. The gas for S-load data was not brought down while everything else in Ethereum was brought down, and so it resulted in basically a 5 times price increase. Increase is the wrong word to use, but everything else decreased and this thing stayed the same, which made it very, very difficult for Hex stakers on Ethereum. So, you know, your gas fee should be 5 times smaller on Ethereum than it is, and there's no reason for the transaction to cost so much. Is the argument that I think RH has made, but I'm not entirely sure. I'm pulling from a very bad memory pool here, and I don't quite understand what I'm talking about. This is just my my understanding of why Pulse Chain was made in the first place, is like to combat this very specific problem that Ethereum was not addressing, that very much affected Hex stakers, which is the whole reason for Hex and things. So
can we bring up Dr. H Crypto Proctor's longer comment?
Yes.
That's not what I meant. I think you know that the OAs kill text in background cells and buys is what I mean in cent ratio from 2 to 1 to 5 plus to 1. OA can dump or buy at will, not decentralized. Sure. He can. I don't know if he has been doing that. Certainly not from the OA wallet. But that doesn't mean that he doesn't have many other wallets or have other people that could be pulling the buys and the sells. But everything he does definitely is with a purpose, as you mentioned. I trust Richard Hart, which is why I'm in this ecosystem. I believe in, when I say decentralization, I believe that the protocol is sufficiently decentralized that it can't be edited or changed. and I can run it from my own computer. And so there's a lot of safety factors. There's a lot of things I love about the decentralized nature of the protocol. But yes, if Richard Hart were to sabotage his network, he could do that because he owns a lot of coins.
Yeah,
his last
certainly
comment.
possible.
Last comment. Richard Hart is the best option, in my humble opinion. Agreed. Don't disagree there.
I also agree.
Really good thoughts. Really good thoughts.
There's a question as well from Mr. Just Live who says that he sees Axis has come out with limit orders, and he thinks that Tetra has limit orders as well. Do we have thoughts?
I'll say that any new.
Tetra.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I know nothing. Go ahead. Is basically the TLDR of mine.
I mean, pretty much the same. I haven't really looked into it. I've heard some rumblings, but haven't had a chance to look into it. I've been focusing on the Night token airdrop, which came out yesterday, which went live. For all of you who held Ethereum more than $200 worth, or Bitcoin, or XRP, or Solana, or BNB, or Cardano on June 11th, then you are going to get an airdrop of the Night token. And by the way, there's no allocation for the Night token. It is only being airdropped to holders of these communities. 100% of it, 100% of the supply is being airdropped to holders. So yes, large corporations that hold a lot are going to get airdrops too, no doubt. But no allocation to the people building the protocols, which I appreciate. So I've really been focusing on that today and yesterday, and I am going to make a video about it because I bet a lot of you don't even know that you're going to get an airdrop. I was able to claim 2 airdrops yesterday. I have 2 more to claim. We have 60 days from yesterday to claim them. And then you're just, you don't get the airdrop right away. You actually just get like, okay, you're going to get X amount of tokens when the airdrop happens. And then your airdrop is, there's a thaw period. So you get, when it first starts, when the airdrop first starts, you'll get 25%. So right now it's only the claim phase. And then every quarter, another 25% will thaw, and you'll get, so over a year, you'll be able to get 100% of that airdrop, which is a great way to do it because it allows for less sell pressure than if someone just got all of their airdrop at one point. Airdrops always create sell pressure, but the interesting thing that this is 100% sent to the communities. That's fantastic, in my opinion, and it is a really great airdrop. So I'll do a quick video on it. It's super easy to claim. You just have to know a few things. And I don't think we have time to get into it tonight, but yes, I don't know about that. I've been asking for limit orders since day one. I think a lot of us have. But again, since we read the tweet earlier, I'll say any new protocol, even ones that are well-intentioned, I tend to wait to see how they work a little bit before maybe I jump in and test them out myself. Or I do it with very small transactions in a condom wallet, because what if they accidentally mess up something? If somebody messes up something accidentally and the protocol's messed up, you lost something small. That's funny. Got my little scruffy beard that curls up in here.
Somewhat's looking Charles Hoskinish tonight.
It's not a surprise. I've owned a Cardano. I mean, I've owned Cardano for a long time. I have a very small percentage of my portfolio in Cardano. By far, my largest portion of my portfolio is in Pulse Chain, second Bitcoin, third Ethereum, maybe fourth or fifth Cardano. So, and that's way down the list. But nonetheless, I like that they're building a protocol that is built for privacy. So I think they're doing a pretty good job of what they're building. They just build slow. They get a lot of hate, but I think they're doing a pretty good job at what they're doing. And I think the Midnight Protocol is going to be something that a lot of other chains are going to try to mimic because of its privacy factors.
Okay, I have to pull this up. Hold on. I got a picture of Charles, and I see it.
I have put on a few pounds. Now you're making me feel a little fat, a little husky.
Bro, he's wearing your shirt. He's wearing your shirt. No, you're not quite.
I just gotta squint.
Charles, you need the circly glasses, bro. And you also need a little bit more of my widow's peak. You got a good set of hair, so you're doing all right. But yeah, I can see you. You're a bit older than Chuck though, so you're holding up pretty good, bro. You're doing all right. That's
I'm
excellent though. I love that you guys are both wearing the blue plaid shirt, and it's like, what are the odds that Charles is gonna put on a blue shirt at some point in his life? But that's hilarious. Oh my, or actually, yeah, that is too funny.
I
I love it.
am
Thank you for
older than Mr. Chucky by about 6 years. So
yep.
even though
Yep.
I will say, man looks. You know what? I'm not gonna say it.
Hey, he's like life treats different people differently. That's what I will say. I gotta resume my camera. There we go. Perfect. I want to bring it back to Mr. Just Live's question though. Regarding limit orders, I'm not sure if are you mentioning that Axis has a protocol that has limit orders, and because if he does, then that's pretty cool. Good job, Axis. I
Very
am
cool.
not aware of it if that's the case. And I have heard Sloth a few times. Shout out to Mr. Crypto Sloth, talk about Tetra quite a bit, and it's been in the works for a long time that Tetra is supposed to have limit orders. So if they finally got around to it, then out fucking standing. That's pretty damn cool. I like it. So super nifty to see that people are out there getting stuff done. And you guys, there's all sorts of tools out there that exist in Pulse Chain. You can provide V3 liquidity in a very similar way to doing a limit order. You just have to, it requires a little bit more attention. You have to pay attention. You got to pull the liquidity after it passes through that those buy and sell points. So that's my thoughts on that.
I will say,
All right.
I don't really have much else to say. I have a couple of things to
Yeah,
talk about.
I have nothing.
About the show, but
I will say that there was a nifty little headline that popped up that says that the White House is preparing to look at banks that are discriminating and debanking people and debanking cryptocurrency firms. So that's pretty interesting. I like that is something that's being talked about. Again, like when people talk about things, they're just talking about things. So when moves start being made, this is a big problem, and this is why we're in cryptocurrency to begin with. I would love to see the traditional banking world be held accountable for its actions. I don't think that debanking people is very cool. When you rob people of the ability to transact in a world where like we have to rely on banks and we have to rely on credit cards and debit cards and yada yada yada, like I thought that was pretty nifty. So it doesn't. I don't have a whole lot to say about it. I just saw that that's something that was being talking about, and then also Changpeng Zhao of Binance was talking about Trump's new executive order opening up international banking, or opens up international banking as an option for cryptocurrency and stuff. So if this is something Z and I talked about, I think on Sunday, but I think it'd be really cool if Binance comes back to the U.S. if with their new executive orders and with their new thoughts of making the U.S. more friendly for cryptocurrency companies that have been more or less forced out because of the SEC and because of regulatory bullshit, then it'd be really cool to see a whole bunch of new things happen. And it would also be really cool to see international banking happen with crypto stuff. So that's all that I really wanted to mention. I don't have a whole lot of thoughts on it, but
I'll say two other things then, and then we can close out the show. One is there is apparently a Pulse Chain conference from August 15th to the 17th happening.
Yes.
I just saw that today. You can go check it out and see it for yourself. And then Richard Hart Max is putting on Hex Week from August 18th to August 22nd. So hopefully I can join a panel, but I will be moving that week as well, so it's going to be tough. So he's going to work around what my timing is, but we shall see if I can actually make it work or not. So I had no idea that there was going to be another Pulse Chain conference being put on. Had not heard about that recently, and you can think about whatever you want. I'm just providing the news so that you can go research it for yourself. That's all I got, my friend.
Excellent.
What do you say we call it a night?
I like it. Yeah. Yeah, let's call it a night. And shout out to all the content creators out there putting together platforms and abilities for Hexicans to come together and talk about things. I would suggest people go and watch them, not necessarily to like, go and spend all your money and things, but just go and learn, and perhaps you'll watch somebody that you've never seen before who has some really cool ideas. So open your eyes and go see what's going on. And hey, go check out Dr. H, the crypto practor. He's been invited to speak, so he will let us know. So thank you very much. Good to see you, Dr. H.
And I don't know if he's
And,
talking about the Pulse
we got-
Chain Conference or the Hex Week, by the way. I don't know if he's talking about Pulse Chain Conference or Hex Week, but let us know once you get your schedule sorted.
There you go. And an update from Mr. Just Live. Crypto Coffee made a video about a Telegram app, and and Just Live didn't look into it any further. X Game
Don't
is
show that
apparently.
one. Don't show that one. Don't show that
okay.
one. We don't show things that we don't know
Okay.
if they're true or not. That could be
Oh,
dangerous.
okay. Well, fair enough. Good point. Good point. That thing that you guys can look at if you want to is the stuff. So there you guys go. Coffee is generally a pretty trustworthy gentleman.
Yes,
and
but what if he
usually does
doesn't
a lot
have the
more
name of the
research than I
protocol
do.
correct?
Yes, 100%. So good point, Mr. Brendan, saving me from myself over here, sending all of our degens into down into the dirty world of the depths of the internet. So there you guys go. I suppose since you're hosting, I'll tell the folks where they can find me and what I've got going on in the near future. I'm currently in Dallas, Texas. I'm not going to be here for very long. I will shortly be heading up to Portland, Oregon, where I'll be doing some tower work for about a week. And then after that, it's Nebraska. And then after that, it's Detroit for good old Will Stevenson. So if you guys are in Portland, in somewhere that I don't know, Nebraska, or in Detroit, then I'll be swinging by those areas, and I would love to say hi and chit chat with y'all. So if you're there, hit me up. And if not, no worries. Hakuna Matata. We'll have a great time. Other than that, you guys can find us here on the DGen Roundtable every Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday. As it says right down there on the little scrolling chyron, we stream starting at 8 p.m. Eastern every Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday right here on YouTube and Twitter. And that's all I got for book club this week. In 2 days, Mr. Zenith is hosting the book what is it called? Not Atomic Habits. Oh no, it is Atomic Habits. It is Atomic Habits. I was
Great
going to say
book.
the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, but yeah, Atomic Habits, fantastic book. I freaking love it.
Hey, that was the book that I recommended when you asked me to recommend a book.
Oh, really? Oh,
Yes.
fantastic, bro. Excellent. You want to be on book club with us? You could feel free if you're able to, man. We'd love to have you. If not, then no sweat. But the invitation is extended. I love that book. It's
If I'm out of
fantastic.
happy hour and smoking cigars in time, I will join you, but it's not likely.
Not likely. Yeah, no sweat, broski. We love that book. This is my 3rd time reading it, and it's bringing back some great memories, and all of the good quotes I am copying right on out of there, and I'm throwing them up on Twitter and throwing them into the DGen Roundtable Telegram for book club. So that's what we are covering for this week on book club. Next week's book club, I've already decided we're going to be covering oh shoot, what is the name of it? Dang it. Oh man, it's a controversial religious book. Alpha God is the name of the book that we are covering next week, and it is about how Old Testament God is different than New Testament God, and common things that happen in human religions, and how human beings perceive, not necessarily how gods are created, but how human beings perceive different gods in different religions, and 2 major archetypes that are very common in gods. It's a very interesting book. It's
I
about
might
10
have to
hours
come on
long, and
that
it is
one.
written by an atheist. So what's that?
I might have to come
Yeah,
on that one
yeah.
because the God of the
It's
Old
a
Testament,
very-
God of the New Testament are the exact same God, and I can tell you why. So that's a very interesting book. I'm interested to hear about that one.
It is a it's written by an atheist who is very interested in pushing his views out on the reader. So you have to take that into consideration when reading it, and read it take it with a grain of salt kind of perspective. But the thing that I'm interested in is specifically the perspective of the audience that views that like views and thinks about God from 2 basically different perspectives. There is the dominant God, and there is the prestigious God. These are the 2 ways that human beings generally think of God type characters whether you're looking at the Greek gods, the Roman gods, the Hindu god, whatever, all of the different religions that exist in the world, there's a lot of common phenotypes in the way that human beings look at what they consider to be divine creatures and things. So that's the thing that really fascinates me. And I want to shout out Sami when he was talking about how Pulse Chain basically deifies Richard Hart, and how they consider like the Richard Hart of last cycle to be similar to Old Testament God, and Richard Hart of this cycle to be similar to New Testament God. The TLDR is the difference between forceful, brutal, and like go and conquer your enemies and spill the blood of the competition, versus the prestigious God, where it's like, oh, you respect me, and I'm going to give my son to you, and there's a whole different feel and vibe to it all. So it's a very interesting book. I don't know if you would enjoy it, or if you wouldn't enjoy it, Brendan, but I heavily encourage you to read it so that you can have some good conversation material. And we would love to have you on the show, man. But the thing that brought it to mind was specifically as it relates to cryptocurrency in the Pulse Chain system. And when Sami was talking, I heard a lot of similarities that he was describing in his podcast to what I had read in the book. And I was like, whoa, this is like spot on with what the author was talking about. So I thought that was crazy interesting. Anyways, enough of me running my mouth. We're doing book club. It's going to be great. It's going to be awesome. We do the news show on Sunday. It's going to be great. It's going to be awesome. And we have a chill time on Wednesday, which is always great, always awesome. Mr. Brendan, what about you, broski? Where can the folks find you? What have you got going on? And you got your copywriting that you made, right, for the end of the show. Did you have one? Excellent.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Yes, sir.
Take us away, bro.
So, well, first of all, I will say that I will disagree with this gentleman in the book. The God of the Old Testament, New Testament is different, and the God of the New Testament did not give his son. It was the God of the Old Testament that gave his son, because the New Testament didn't start until the son was old enough to start his ministry. Well, I suppose it started with his birth. But still, really, the New Testament didn't start until he started his ministry. So the old God was the God that gave us Jesus. What's that?
I could be doing a very bad job of describing it. I remember basically like it was about prestige with the New Testament and like violence with the Old Testament. Those are the basic comparisons that he makes. But anyways,
Yes,
I would love to hear your take.
Essentially, punishment versus forgiveness. That's really probably the better way that you can say it. Punishment,
yes. Yeah, there
when
you go.
something goes wrong, versus forgiveness. And the reason for that is we all deserve punishment for failures that we make. It happens in society. If you do something wrong and you get arrested by the law, that's your choice, and then the choice of you being arrested. Same thing in the Old Testament, except it was instant, not always instant, but many times instant of consequences. Whereas when Jesus came and died and resurrected, he took those consequences upon himself. So instead of God having to give us direct consequences, he is able to give us forgiveness through Christ taking our sins, our faults upon himself. Anyway, we're not talking about that book tonight, so I'm just going to leave it there. But since you said it, I had to give the other side of the thought. But you can find me on X, you can find me on Telegram. I am moving in 2 weeks, less than 2 weeks, which is kind of crazy. So I will be here on Sunday. I'll be on the show. We have a lot of cool stuff to talk about. And that's about it. I will give you the ending. Appreciate everyone for joining us. Thank you for spending your time with us tonight. The markets are unpredictable and ever-changing, but we do our best to keep you up to date on all things that affect our cryptocurrency interests. You could be anywhere else, but you chose to spend your valuable time with us. As Jay always says, time is our most valuable asset. We appreciate you spending some of your time with us. Mr. Producer, that is Mr. Will Stevenson, get that trigger finger ready, because it's time to remind the degenettes to always degen responsibly.